Blessings, everyone. Shalom, shalom to you. We are getting ready to get started here tonight as we get into another Torah Tuesday night Torah teaching. Blessings.
We the people of the book. I stay humble, I ain't even boasting. I'm just here telling you facts. No more secret, it's gotta be spoken. We out here living a lie. 3/5, but they say that we equal. So put your hands up in the sky. Represent for the chosen people. Melanin, yeah, we got a lot of it. I can see the fear in them when they look at it. I can understand it because it's their nature. They don't fear God, but concerned about some glaciers. They always want to justify. They find themselves not guilty. Pride so cross that high, living in iniquity. People, Shema, fire with people. Shema, Shema, fire with people. Shema, fire with people. Shema, Shema, fire with people. Shema, fire with people. Shema, Shema, fire with people. Shema, fire with people. Shema, Shema, fire. We the people that they took. I stay humble, I will not be shaken. My people are starting to wake up. Their minds scrambling, need a shake up. They rewriting history. Whitewashing images, forgery. It's all a conspiracy. Crafting counsel from our enemies. They stole our identities. Done away with our heritage. Had us working in the field. See, broken, we can't get no settlements. So cruel, they took it too far. On them people that resemble Kadar. Perpetual belief, they really hate us. But we quickly coming out of our hidden people. Shema, fire with the people. Shema, Shema, fire with the people. Shema, fire with the people. Shema, Shema, fire with the people. Shema, fire with the people. Shema, Shema, fire with the people. Shema, fire with the people. Shema, Shema,
Shouts out to my people, mission bowling straight hallelujahs. 400 years, better let it move you. Messiah coming, better let it soothe you. Whoever knew we would be great. On the slave ships, we were stowaways. Never made sense that we were throwaways, but it makes sense we hit fade
Blessings.
We serving the ultimate power. The most high, from hands high. Serving the ultimate hour. Same people in that manner. We gotta get
Shalom,
that
shalom.
Blessings
to you. From your family too. We are excited tonight, y'all. Once again, we are about to go in. It's about to go down. And we are looking forward to the word of Yah. I pray that you have your Bibles with you. I pray that you are prepared for what's going to happen tonight. Go ahead and go to our platforms, Facebook, Congregation Rehoboth, Henry Benz Jr. Go ahead and like the video, thumb up the video, share the live, thumb up the video and share the live, family. As we are getting ready to burn up these airwaves with the truth. You know, the enemy don't like the truth, y'all. I'm gonna tell y'all right now, the enemy is adversarial. He has an aversion for the truth. Let me give you some spiritual knowledge here. Whenever you start speaking the truth and there's anger, there is people being upset, that's nothing but the enemy. That's the enemy, y'all. And so we can't get sidetracked And we can't allow ourselves to get taken off of our posts because the enemy is upset. That should be your fuel and your motivation to continue. And so I want to encourage you. I want to encourage you to keep your hand to the plow and don't look back. The work that you are doing, your labor is not in vain. Your labor is not in vain. Abba Yah sees your struggle, and he will reward you openly. What your enemies do to you privately, Abba Yah will reward you openly. And that award may, it may come in the form of strength, endurance. What would have made other people faint and fall out and give up, what Abba Yah will do for you is, like Isaiah said, he will allow you to mount up on wings of an eagle. Yeah, what other people can't handle, he will give you the strength and endurance to handle it, y'all. Oh, I'm a witness. See, when you're doing spirit, see, check this out. The enemy and those who are working for the enemy, they are nonstop, all day, all night, in their efforts to thwart, destroy, and wreak havoc in the kingdom. But you know what? I got that same energy. I got that same energy, family. And I'm not going to stop. Where's your energy level at? Where is your energy level at when it comes to balling for the kingdom? Go ahead and like the video. Go ahead and thumb up the video, share the live. Thumb up the video, share the live, y'all. We're going to go ahead and get started right away. I'm not going to be on long tonight, but I am going to go in. Turn with me in your Bibles to the book of Second Chronicles. Second Chronicles, chapter 24. Second Chronicles 24. And we're going to be in verse 27. Second Chronicles 24. Okay, I'm going to show you right here where I'm going. Second Chronicles 24. And we're on to verse 27. All right. And I want to show y'all something in the scriptures. This is the Bible speaking. I want to show y'all something. Second Chronicles chapter 24 and verse 27. All right. Now concerning his sons and the greatness of the burdens laid upon him. All right. So we have two subjects going on. We have the scriptures saying that there's going to be some information that is about his sons. Okay. And the burdens that are laid upon him. Watch this. And the repairing of the house of God. So there's three topics there that are going to be discussed. Behold, they are written in the story. So they're telling you that these three topics are written in a story of the book of the Kings. Now, automatically you may think, oh, I know where that's at. That's going to be in First or Second Kings. Nope. Because you got to understand what this word story is. And then it says, and Amaziah, his son, reigned in his stead. So let's look and see, what does this word story mean in the English as we look in the Hebrew. And so this is why, guys, I continue, and I will continue to say, we got to get our Hebrew up. We've got to get our Hebrew up. And I want to show you this word right here. All Midrash. Y'all see that? Now let me show it to you down here in the transliteration. So he's saying that this information on these three topics are written, they're written in the Midrash. You see that, y'all? They're written in the Midrash. So what the scriptures are telling us is that if we want to find out the rest of the story, we've got to go to the Midrash. Y'all see that? Now watch this. Let's go to 2 Chronicles 13 and 22. 2 Chronicles 13 and 22. But Abijah, actually, we're going to start in verse 21. Start in verse 21. But Abijah waxed mighty and married 14 wives. And he begat 22 sons and 16 daughters. I guess so. And the rest of the acts of Abijah, watch this, and his ways and his sayings. So again, we have three topics. The rest of the acts of Abijah, his ways and his sayings are written in the story of the prophet Edo. Now, I can guarantee you that you've never heard of the prophet Edo. I guarantee you that. You've never heard of the prophet Edo. Okay? But what we're going to do is we're going to go to, because it says they're written in the story. So let's see what they are talking about. Because this one doesn't say in the book of the Kings. This one simply says written in the story of the prophet Edo. So let's go back to the word story again. Okay? They're written in the story. Where is this story written? In the Midrash. Now you may say, how does that look like? That looks like Midrash. No, this is how you know it's Midrash. See this little dot above the shin? This letter at the end on the left can either be a sin or a shin. The letter sin or the letter shin. If this dot is on the right, you pronounce this letter sh, shin. If it's on the left, you pronounce it s, sin. All right, that's the name of the letter. And so it would be Midrash if the dot was over here. So this dot is telling you and letting you know to pronounce this last letter as sh, the sh sound. And this is where we get mid, ba, mid, rash. All right. And so where do we find the Midrash? Okay, this is not a European Jewish book, y'all. This is not a European Jewish book. Okay, the Midrash is right here in our ancestors' oral traditions. This is the Midrash. Okay, it comes in our oral tradition. So what we're instructed to do is to read about those particular stories in the Midrash. Okay, now let me show you something else. Let me show you one more thing and we're going to get started. In Exodus 24, Exodus chapter 24 and verse 12. It says, and the Lord said to Moses or Moshe, come up to me into the mount and be there. And I'm going to give you tables of stone and a law and commandments. Now watch this. So he said he's going to give him tables of stone. Okay. Tables of stone. We know that those tables of stone, we know that there were two of them that had the commandments, the 10 commandments on it. But then it says, I'm going to give you, excuse me, a law and commandments. So watch this. We know that the commandments is the word plural, ha-mitzvah. Ha-mitzvah. Okay, and this is where we get, guys, our 613 mitzvah. All right, those are the 613 laws, or commandments. Sorry, the 613 commandments. But watch this word law, ha-Torah. So I want y'all to understand something. There is a difference between the Torah and the mitzvah, the ha-mitzvah. There's a difference. The mitzvah are the commandments. You see that? Commandment of God, code of wisdom. Okay? Those are the commandments. That's the mitzvah. But the Torah, come on and go with me, y'all. The Torah, those are the instructions on the commandments, or the prophetic teachings on the commandments. Guys, please get this concept. Please get that there's a difference between commandments and law, or the mitzvah and the Torah. The Torah, please write this down. The Torah, those are the instructions. Write that down, y'all. Torah equals instructions. The Most High said he's going to give Moses the instructions. But the watch this. The commandments or the mitzvah, those are the actual 613. Okay. So what we have to do is we have to understand that the commands are the precepts. Those are the precepts, the 613 precepts. But watch this. We're going to get the Torah, which is the teaching or the instructions on the precepts. And guess what, y'all? Watch what Abiyah said. He says, come up to me in the mount, be there with me. I will give thee tables of stone, a law and commandments, which I have written, that thou mayest teach them. So watch this. Moses is going to teach them not only the commandments, but he's going to teach them the teachings on the commandments. Now, guess what? When Moses taught them on the commandments, it was orally done. It was oral, y'all. And that oral tradition in 200 AD or CE was codified and written down for the Israelites. Come on and go with me. And I'm going to show you that in a bit. Now watch this. I got one more scripture. Deuteronomy chapter 5. And watch this. Deuteronomy 5:31. But as for thee, stand here with me. And the Most High said, and I will speak unto thee the commandments. Watch this. So what Moses received, he memorized, y'all. He memorized it. Moses didn't go up there with a pen or pencil. The only one that was writing was the Most High, and he wrote 10 down. And guess what? Moses remembered all 613 commandments and their teachings. Why did he memorize them? Because he had to go back and teach the people all of them. And we know from the oral tradition, the Midrash, the Mishnah, and the Talmud, were, watch this. Oh, y'all want to see Talmud? Hold on. Hold up. Hold on. Now, that thou may teach them Talmudim. Now, you may say, well, Pastor, that's not Talmud. Well, it is Talmud because now this Lamed is the root, but Talmudim, the reason why it's plural is because he's talking about them. And so in Hebrew, the verb and the subject have to agree in number and person. Okay? And so because them is plural, Talmudim is plural also. Okay? And because Moses was not just going to teach one individual, he was going to teach all of the children of Israel. This is why Talmudim is plural. Had he been teaching simply one person, it would be Talmud. All right? So I wanted to show y'all that. I wanted to show y'all that because we understand that our oral tradition doesn't come from European Jews, but it comes directly from the mouth of Yah to the ear and the heart of Moshe, and from the ear and the heart of Moshe to the ears and hearts of the children of Israel. Okay? So let's get it tonight. Tonight we're going to talk about misconduct or misinterpretation. In other words, does the oral tradition, like some say, does it contain misconduct? In other words, does it teach us? Think about this. If it came from the mouth of Yah and it came directly to Moses, is it corrupt? Is it teaching? Do you believe that Yah is going to give us instructions that encourage us to perform misconduct? Well, Pastor, it got into the hands of Europeans. Yes, it did. But guess what? The original Hebrew was not corrupted. But what happened was they misinterpreted the original Hebrew that Moses received from Yah. So this is another reason why we need to learn the Hebrew, so that we don't have to trust in the teachings and the mind of those European Jews who corrupted our oral tradition. However, even in their attempt, we still have preserved in our oral tradition the Hebrew, which is dead on. And I'm going to show you that tonight. All right. And so the topic that we're going to be looking at, y'all, first is circumcision. And we want to deal with it. This is very important to look at this because there are many skeptics and people who are coming for the Bible, y'all. And we have to be able to defend and know that what they're saying is not true. Why? Because we studied this. And so Israel was not the first to perform circumcision on boys. I want y'all to know that. We talked about that last week. We closed with that last week. All right. So who was the first? Last week, we gave like a little quiz to find out who was first. We asked the question, were the Greeks, the Romans, the Medo-Persians, the Babylonians, or the Egyptians, or the Assyrians, who was first? And we found out last week that the Egyptians were the first. We did a timeline to show when each nation first started performing circumcision. And we found out that Egypt, their first performance of the surgery It is a surgery, y'all. Was done in 3000 BC. Okay, circumcision was practiced in ancient Egypt and is depicted in ancient artwork. The exact time when circumcision became a widespread practice, is challenging to pinpoint. That's why I use the word circa AD, which means around 3000 BC. All right, so you can see here in 3000, from 3000 BC, this art, you can see clearly that the Egyptians here are performing circumcision surgery on males, on men, grown men, y'all. Circumcision from the tomb of Ankh-Mahor, Saqqara in 3000 BC. Okay, so they wrote and drew. The reason why I say wrote is because I don't know if you can see the Medu-Neter or the hieroglyphics on the top part of this picture. You can see birds, you can see other things here. Guys, I will be reading this pretty soon. I'm serious about this. Okay. And so you can see this depiction of the circumcision. Okay. Right around 3000 BC on grown men. And so ancient Israel, 8th day circumcision was the first to do it on the 8th day. Israel was the first to do it on the 8th day of after a baby's birth. Okay, you saw in the picture, these are grown men, but Israel was the first to do circumcision on the 8th day, and that came in 1890 to 1870 BC. Circumcision has been a central practice among the Israelites since biblical times and is described in the Hebrew Bible, and this was done on the 8th day. So Israelites were the first nation to circumcise babies on the 8th day. All right. So let's go to 2 Samuel chapter 1, verse 17. 2 Samuel chapter 1 and verse 17. Okay. I want to read something else to you guys. And David lamented with this lamentation over Saul and over Jonathan, his son. Also, he bade them to teach the children of Judah the use of the bow. Behold, it is written in the book of Jasher. Uh-oh, wait a minute. What are you telling me, Pastor Benz? I'm not telling you anything. The Bible is. The scriptures are showing that we are to read the book of Jasher. Okay? Now there are other scriptures also that encourage us to read it. Let's go to Joshua chapter 10. Joshua chapter 10. And we're going to look at verse 13. So let's go up to 12 real quick. Verse 12. Joshua 10, 12 through 13. Then spake Joshua to the Lord in the day when the Lord delivered up the Amorites before the children of Israel. And he said, in the sight of Israel, son, stand thou still upon Gibeon, and thou moon in the valley of Ajalon. And the sun stood still, and the moon stayed, until the people had avenged themselves upon their enemies. Is this not written in the book of what? The book of Jasher. So the sun stood still in the midst of heaven, and hasted not to go down a whole day. In the book of Jasher, y'all. Okay. Let's go to Second Timothy. Second Timothy. Look at this. Even in the New Testament. No, that's Thessalonians. Hold on. Second Timothy. Here we go. Second Timothy, chapter 3. Hold on. Hold on. Let me go here or something. Let me go here. Was it in Second Timothy? Hold on. I think I wrote the wrong scripture down, y'all. I think I was probably I'm gonna have to come back to that one. I think I wrote the wrong script down. But we do have two places in Scripture that encourages us to read the book of Jasher. Book of Jasher as history, as oral tradition. Okay. So in the book of Jasher, chapter 17, verses 17 and 18, this is talking about circumcision. And we're going to look at this really quick. Okay, so in the book of Jasher, chapter 17, verse 17, Jasher, Jasher, the book of Jasher. Now, what I really want to do is get this in Hebrew. This is all English, but I want the Hebrew on the side. You can get a multilingual or bilingual, you can get a bilingual copy of the book of Jasher with the Hebrew on one side and the English on the other side. Okay, but here we go. At that time, the Lord appeared to him and said to him, I will make my covenant between me and thee, and I will greatly multiply thy seed. And this is the covenant which I will make between me and thee, that every male child be circumcised, you, and thy seed after thee. Verse 18, at 8 days old shall it be circumcised, and this covenant shall be in your flesh for an everlasting covenant. Now remember, this covenant was with Abraham. Okay, that covenant was with Abraham. Okay. And so we definitely see in the book of Jasher that it is backing up the scripture. Okay. And I definitely want to bring that out because we're encouraged to read the book of Jasher. We are encouraged to read the book of Jasher. Okay. And so that particular scripture is found in Genesis chapter 17. And we're going to look at that right here. Okay, so the book of Jasher is being backed up by the scriptures. And God said unto Abraham, so we know he's talking to Abraham, thou shalt keep my covenant, therefore thou and thy seed after thee in their generation. This is my covenant which you shall keep between me and you and thy seed after thee. Every man child among you shall be circumcised. Verse 11. And ye shall circumcise the flesh of your foreskin, and it shall be taken of the covenant betwixt me and you. And watch this, and he that is 8 days old, there it is again, shall be circumcised among you. Every man child in your generation, he that is born in the house, or bought with money of a stranger, which is not of thy seed, he that is born in thy house, and he that is bought with thy money must needs be circumcised. And my covenant shall be in your flesh for an everlasting covenant. Excuse me. And circumcision, and an uncircumcised child, a male child, whose flesh of his foreskin is not circumcised, that soul shall be cut off. Interesting. Remember Moses and his son Gershom? And then Miriam, Moses' sister, had to circumcise the boy. You remember that, y'all? Okay, maybe Moses was neglecting his duty. And God said unto Abraham, as far as Sarai, thy wife, thou shalt call her name Sarah or Sarai, but Sarah. Okay. So yeah. So we see the scriptures is backing up, or the book of Jasher is being backed up by the scriptures. Okay. And so I thought that was very interesting to see that. We're encouraged to read the book of Jasher. And then what we find there is circumcision. And in that circumcision, we know that it is for a covenant. Okay. But I want to show you one more thing, because some people think that circumcision was just an outward duty. Okay. But I want to show you this. Deuteronomy 30:6. And the Lord thy God will circumcise thy heart and the heart of thy seed, to love the Lord thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul, that thou mayest live. Now, let me say this. As evidence that Abba Yah circumcised your heart, you allowed, if you were an older person, you allowed the mohel, or the person that's doing the circumcision, to circumcise you. Now, when it came to babies, the fact that, or the evidence that Abba Yah, the Most High, circumcised your heart, was that you were obedient and circumcised your child on the 8th day. Come on and go with me here. And as a result, we were to teach our children why they were being circumcised. Now, remember, a child was supposed to begin reading Torah at the age of 5 years old. Okay. And then we see here in Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 6, and these words which I command thee this day, thou shalt be in thy heart, which has been circumcised. Verse 7, and thou shalt teach them diligently unto your children, and shalt talk, watch this, of them when thou sittest in thine house, and when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest. And thou shalt bind them for a sign upon thine hand, and they shall be as frontlets on thine eyes, and thou shalt write them upon pots of thy house and on thy gates. Now watch this. You shall teach them diligently unto your children. Okay, not just circumcision, but all the commandments, all the way up to age 5. And at age 5, they are able to read, and they are to read and study the Torah for themselves. And the oral tradition. All right. So let's keep going. Just wanted to lay that foundation for you. And here we go. Now, let's get into the meat of this. There have been historical inaccuracies. Please write this word down. About mestitza be pay. Mestitza is circumcision. Be pay is circumcision by mouth. Mestitza be pay means circumcision. Be pay means by mouth. All right. Now, what that means is that there are those that claim, that misinterpret the Hebrew and say that when the mohel, or the person doing the circumcision, part of the circumcision was for the mohel to give circumcision, and part of it was to be done by mouth. That's why I said historical inaccuracy. That is completely inaccurate. I'm going to show and prove tonight. So let's go to the origins of mestitza be pay. This is an article, and we are looking here. This is called The Origins of Mestitza be pay. Let me show y'all this. The origins of mestitza be pay. Circumcision by mouth. Okay. Give me 1 second, y'all. That is not a verse, it's an article. It's an article that that we're going to be looking at. Okay. So let's look at this article real quick. All right. So we're going to start right here. We're going to start right here. Such a notion is less surprising when examined in the ancient medical context, where bloodletting to release the body of bad humors. Bloodletting is simply, those of you who are in the medical field, it's just when you are bleeding, when you're starting to bleed. Okay, was commonplace. As one might suspect, however, the consensus of modern medicine is that bloodletting is mostly harmful and unnecessary practice. With the adverse effects of bloodletting did not emerge as consensus until the turn of the 20th century, so right in the 1900s. The risk of oral genital suction, that is be pay. Oral genital suction is using your mouth to suck the blood. It says the risk of using your mouth to suck the blood came to the halakhic forefront over half a century before. That is, watch this, that in response to a situation similar to the one reported in the Wall Street Journal in 1830s. Guys, this is European Jews that were doing mestitza be pay, or oral genital circumcision, where they would suck the blood after they circumcised the baby with their mouths. That was not in the Bible, and it was not in our oral tradition. I'm going to show you that. These are European Jews in the 1830s that came along and began doing this. Remember, our people, we were enslaved during this time. So you know it wasn't us doing this. Okay? In the 1830s, slavery was on the decline legally. Okay? De jure, slavery was on the decline, but de facto, slavery was not. All right? So in 1830 Slovakia, a number of Jewish babies, all circumcised by the same mohel, or the person doing the circumcision is called the mohel, fell ill shortly after their bris. A bris is the same word as brit, or cutting, or circumcision. Doctors determined that their illness was a result of mestitza bepe, orally using your mouth to suck the blood after the circumcision. European Jews was doing this. Watch this. Illness was a result of mestitza bepe and suggested the use of a sponge or a gauze to fulfill the apparent religious requirement of drawing out blood. In correspondence with Rabbi Eliezer Horowitz, Rabbi Moshe Sofer, the Chazam Sofer, famously endorsed the doctor's suggestion. And he wrote, nowadays, we do not use the same type of bandage or cumin as described in the Mishnah or our oral tradition, since this is done for medical reasons. One need not be particular if doctors have found other excuse me, other suitable medications besides cumin and a bandage. The same applies also to mestitza. We can use any comparable method. In other words, he's saying that you don't have to use oral genital circumcision. In other words, you don't have to use your mouth to suck the blood free of infection. You can use other comparable methods like using a gauze. Okay? Or what did he say? A sponge or a gauze. All right. So watch this. Here you have these European Jews, y'all, that are taking what our ancestors wrote and then adding to mestitza or circumcision. They're adding the fact that you have to use your mouth to suction the blood. Now, where are they getting that from? It's a misinterpretation. It's an addition. Okay, so let's prove it. Let's prove it. Now, this is a journal, a National Library of Medicine, National Center for Biotechnology and Information. Okay. Hold on, let me share it one more time. This is a journal. It's the National Library of Medicine, the National Center for Biotechnology Information. Ritual. Here, let me blow this up a little bit. Okay. Ritual circumcision in the age of germ theory amongst 19th century New York immigrants. Guys, 19th century is the 1800s. That's European Jews. Hear me clear. Okay? Watch this. While Jewish, let me see if you guys can see this. Can y'all see that? Hopefully y'all can see that. While Jewish ritual circumcision continues to be a controversial issue in Europe, these are European Jews, y'all, and the U.S., this is European Jews, mestitza bepe, the addendum. The addendum. You guys know what an addendum is. It's an addition. Look at the word here. Add. Look at that. Add. to the Brit Milah. The Brit Milah is simply the Hebrew word for circumcision, which requires the mohel, or the ritual patamis, or the person doing the circumcision, to orally suck blood from the wound immediately following the excision of the foreskin. Okay, guys, this is sick. And I'm going to show and prove tonight that this is not a part of the Bible. It is not a part of the Mishnah, but it is something that the European Jews, watch this, added. It tells you right here. To be a controversial issue in Europe and the U.S., Mestizo paid the added teaching or the addendum to circumcision. Okay? Now watch this. Mestizo Bepe is an addendum, okay, they say it again, to ritual circumcision, which requires the mohel, or the ritual circumciser, to orally suck the blood from the wound immediately following the excision of the foreskin. Okay? Predicted or predicated upon Hellenistic theories of pathophysiology. Okay, so this is based on some Hellenistic or Greek theories that they added this addendum to our ancestors' oral tradition, which is not originally there. Again, it's an addendum. This is why I'm going to show you a little bit later that the original Hebrew was not tainted, but it was the English that they added it to. It was an established therapeutic and post-operative healing method established by the, now watch this, here's a lie, established by the 1st century AD. That's not true, y'all. In recent, and I'm going to show and prove why it's not true. Now remember, they said this is an addendum, right? It was added. Now, when was it added? Let's go back here. It was added, where did it say it was in the 19th century? Hold on. Let's see. Look at what they're talking about. This is, 19th century in New York. This ritual circumcision in the age of germ theory amongst 19th century New York. This is not something that was in the 1st century. This is 1800s. Look at this, guys, down here. This paper analyzes how this nascent community responded to the thorough report by the New York Board of Health following an alleged discredited outbreak of syphilis attributed to Mestizo Bepe in 1873, especially in the context of 19th century immigration, popular perception of syphilis, and American medicine. Now watch this. Mestizo Bepe has evolved since the mid-19th century, such that devices, for example, glass tubes, have been employed, which retain the spirit of the rite, but provide safety by preventing contact between the mohel's lips and the wound. So they just started to add these precautionary techniques in the 18th century, mid-19th century. Sorry, that is the mid-1800s. That's 1850. Okay? This was not in 1st century. It was not established in 1st century. And I'm going to show you that Mestizo Bepe was not added or established in the 1st century. Okay? Let's go to this next slide here. Look at this. There were several incidents in Europe. This one's kind of small. There were several incidents in Europe. These are European Jews in the 19th century. That's the 1800s. Related to Mestizo Bepe. In 1837, Rabbi Eliezer Horowitz, the chief rabbi of Vienna, was consulted regarding a number of children who had become ill or infected following their circumcision. Some of the children had died. Dr. Wortham of Vienna asked Rabbi Horowitz if instead of using oral suction to perform mistitza, a svag or a sponge, or what today we call gauze pad, could be used to squeeze the blood from the circumcision site. Rabbi Horowitz, before rendering a final Pesach, consulted his teacher, Rabbi Moshe Sofer. The Hatem Sofer wrote, Mestitza Bepe is required. Look at this, guys. It's required of a few of the Mekubalim, or the Kabbalists. Therefore, as long as we can draw the blood out from faraway places, it may be done in any way. This is European Jews in 1837. We should rely on the experts regarding which technique is effective as a mestitza bepe. Even in the Talmud has stated that one must perform mestitza with the mouth. I'm going to show you that that is not true. In the Hebrew, I'm going to show you that that is not true. Listen to all these corrupt, sick rabbis that came along, these European rabbis that came along and tried to corrupt our oral tradition. But I'm going to show and prove tonight that if you go back to the original Hebrew, that will disprove all of these lies. But let's keep going. This is Israel's chief's rabbinic backs mestitza bepe. Look at this. Israel's chief rabbinate backs mestitza bepe right, or circumcision by mouth. Berlin, this is Europe, y'all, European Jews. Berlin circumcision complaint causes a number of rabbinical bodies to give their differing opinions. Now watch this. Now, this says the Jewish legal opinion. Hold on, let me make this larger. The Jewish legal opinion came from Marciano after the complaint was lodged against Tektal. Tektal is a rabbi. Berlin's state prosecutor is looking into the merits of the complaint. Germany adopted a new law regulating ritual circumcision last December. The law requires that the procedure be done to the highest possible medical standards. Mestitza bepe has come under fire by many Jewish groups, including modern Orthodox associations, due to the possible spread of infections that can be fatal to an infant. You see these European Jews all the way up to present day were performing this nasty, wicked, sick, disgusting practice of using the mouth to suction the blood from a baby's penis. Opponents recommend the use of glass pipette in place of direct oral suction. You see that, guys? So as a result, Marciano concluded that this committee requires that the mohel, or the circumciser, obtain the family's permission before performing this act in traditional manner. This act of using the mouth to suction the blood. The Israeli chief rabbinate is the latest of several international Orthodox rabbinical organizations to weigh in on the matter. The London-based Conference of European Rabbis, y'all, this is not our people, issued a statement saying that the use of pipettes is approved under Jewish law and preferable for health reasons. You see that? Y'all see that, right? Now let's keep going. I want to show y'all this. I want to keep going. Mestitza, watch this. Mastitha Bepe, or circumcision by the mouth. This is the Huffington Post. Mastitha Bepe circumcision ritual is in. All right. All right. Hopefully everyone can still hear me. Hopefully everyone can still hear me. Let me share my screen again. And okay. I believe we were on this screen here. Hopefully everyone is still here with us. All right. Okay, so we were on this particular article from the Huffington Post. And let's see. Okay. It says the practice called mestitza bepe, or oral suction, is used by a small number of Orthodox mohels, or a person doing the circumcision, Jewish ritual circumcisers. Many assume this practice is a hallmark of strict religious observance, for better or worse, the ultimate in adherence to Jewish tradition. What's rarely considered is the way in which mestitza bepe conflicts. Listen, mestitza bepe conflicts with basic Jewish principles. Mestitza bepe is uncommon even among those Jews who adopt for religious circumcision of their sons. Following the circumcision, the mohel takes a sip of wine and quickly removes the blood from the penis through the wine using his mouth. He then spits the mixture out, instituted in Talmudic times. Look at it. This is not true, y'all. Instituted in Talmudic times. I'm going to show and prove that is not true. Long before the germ theory of disease was understood, mestitza bepe was once thought to disinfect wounds. This is not true, and I'm going to show and prove, y'all. All right, I got one more article. Ritual circumcision. They banned mestitza bepe. Look at that. They ban mestitza bepe. Why? Let's check it out. The AAP, or the American, the American Academy of Pediatrics, used relatively strong language to recommend against the practice of mestitza bepe, in which a mohel completes the procedure by taking the newly circumcised penis into the mouth and orally suctioning out blood. The mohel repeatedly takes wine into his mouth and applies his lips to the wound, after which he spits the mixture of blood and wine into a receptacle. This was originally done to care for the wound. The Babylonian Talmud declares that for the sake of the infant, the mohel must perform this act so as not to bring on risk. This is not true. The Talmud does not show that. And this is what many people have misunderstood, and I'm going to show and prove tonight. And so these are historical inaccuracies that we're going to disprove tonight. Okay? And so let's get into it, into the real evidence for the 8-day circumcision. So let's go to Mishnah Shabbat 19 and 2. Mishnah Shabbat 19 and 2. Remember, our word was mestitza bepe. Now watch this. Let's read the English. When the 8th day of a baby's life occurred, wait, hold on, let me share it because I want y'all to see this. I want y'all to see that we do real research over here. We do real research over here. We ain't playing. When the 8th day of a baby's life occurs on Shabbat, he must be circumcised on that day. Therefore, one performs all the necessities of the circumcision, or mestitza, even on Shabbat. One circumcises the foreskin and uncovers the skin by removing the skin membrane beneath the foreskin. Here it is. And sucks the blood from the wound and places on it both a bandage and cumin as a salve. Now watch this. It says, and sucks. But watch this. Let's go to the Hebrew. This word right here, mestitza. It does not say bepe anywhere. You know what they did, y'all? They took mestitza, which means sucks, and they interpreted it as using the mouth. Because this word mestitza in the Hebrew, it simply means to suction. It means to suction, y'all. It does not mean that you suck with your mouth. It means this word mestitza. That's why you do not see Bepay after mestitza. Oh, come on and go with me, y'all. I just blew, because I know the Hebrew, and because you can know the Hebrew, you can cut through all the lies or interpretive mistakes. Maybe they were intentional. But I just showed and proved in the original Hebrew of our ancestors' oral tradition, there's no mestitza Bepay in here. I showed you article after article where they said that it was established in our oral tradition. Watch this. I showed you article after article where they continuously said that it was established in our oral tradition, and I just proved that it was not true. Look at this. Look at this right here. This is not true. Predicated upon Hellenistic theories of pathophysiology, it was established that therapeutic post-operative healing method established in the 1st century. Can I share this with you guys? If this was a Hellenistic theory, the Greeks, watch this, the Greeks and the Romans, they're saying that these Jews got this idea from the Greeks and the Romans. Guys, I just showed you in the original Hebrew, going all the way back to 200 CE, that there's no mestitza Bepay. Comes after or before. It's just mestitza, which means to suction with a gauze or the use of some other method besides the mouth. Because again, Bepay is nowhere here. Are y'all with me? Are y'all with me? That's Mishnah Shabbat 19 and 2. Therefore, Mishnah Shabbat 19:2 was written in 200 AD. European Jews didn't come on the scene until 750 to 800 AD. So they couldn't have written this down, and it wasn't established in the 1st century. Okay? What we see in the 1st century or 200 AD is mestitza or suction. That could either be done with a gauze or some other form of suctioning agent, not the mouth, not Bepay. Therefore, one performs all the necessities of the circumcision. Even on Shabbat, one circumcises the foreskin and uncovers the skin by removing the skin membrane beneath the foreskin and sucks or suctions the blood from the wound and places it both a bandage and cumin as a salve. Sucks here, again, does not mean they sucks by the mouth. Even in the English, it doesn't say sucks by the mouth. Watch this. People are allowing these perverted, nasty, wicked European Jews who believe this to charge your mind into thinking that what they say is true. When I showed and proved that the original Hebrew does not say that at all. Come on and go with me. And sucks right here does not mean sucks with the mouth. It simply means to suction. And I showed and proved in the Hebrew that mestitza Bepay is nowhere in this particular Hebrew text, which our ancestors wrote from the mouth of the Most High to the ear and the heart of Moshe, from the mouth of Moshe to the ears and the hearts of the children of Israel, and then codified and written down in 200 CE. The Hebrew is still the same. No mestitza bepe. Oh, you want more evidence? Let's go to the Talmud 133b, which was written down in 700 AD, which is still 50 to 100 years before European Jews came on the scene. Watch this. We learned in the Mishnah that one sucks blood from the wound after the circumcision was performed on Shabbat. Rabbi Papa said, a craftsman who does not suck the blood after every circumcision is a danger to the child undergoing circumcision, and we remove him from his position of circumciser. Again, this word suck. A craftsman who does not suck or suction. The word, watch this. We learn in the Mishnah that one sucks blood from the womb. Watch this. Again, the word suck in the Hebrew, mestitza, does not mean mestitza bepe. Notice here. Again, right here is our word right here. There's no bepe in here. There's no bepe in this text at all. Come on and go with me, y'all. But it's in the Hebrew. Now, there are sick, perverted individuals. When they see this, one sucks blood, they assume, those European Jews who believe this, not all of them did, but the majority of even the top prominent European Jews, Jewish rabbis, taught and practiced that you use your mouth, mestitza bepe, when there's no mestitza bepe in the oral tradition, which our ancestors wrote. It says, Rabbi Papa said, a craftsman who does not suction with a gauze or sponge the blood after every circumcision is a danger to the child undergoing circumcision, and we remove him from his position as circumciser. You see that, y'all? That's what we're up against. We're up against lies. Let me go back here and read the rest. The Gemara, or the Talmud, comments, this is obvious, given that one desecrates Shabbat to suck the blood. Again, that does not mean using your mouth. There's no suck the blood with the mouth or by mouth, which involves performance of a prohibited labor. Obviously, failure to do so poses a danger. Desecration of Sabbath, of the Shabbat, would not be permitted if it was not a life-threatening situation. The Gemara answers, this is not an absolute proof, lest you say that this blood is collected and contained in place, and one who removes that which is pooled in its place does not perform the subcategory of the prohibited labor of threshing on Shabbat. That is drawing blood. That is the reason sucking the blood is permitted. Again, drawing the blood and sucking the blood does not mean using your mouth. They have, even in the English, they don't say by mouth, or in the Hebrew. Suctioning can either be done by a gauze or sponge. Okay? And they say reason sucking the blood is permitted, not due to any danger involved in failing to do so. Therefore, the Mishnah teaches us that this blood is attached and flowing and not merely pooled. One who draws out performs an act that is generally prohibited by the Torah law on Shabbat, and it is nonetheless permitted due to the danger of the child. And it is similar to the halakhic of a bandage and cumin stated in the Mishnah. Just as in the case of bandage and cumin, fair to do what is necessary with these items poses a danger to the child. Here, too, if he does not perform, watch this, the sucking after circumcision, it poses a danger to the child. Shabbat is overridden in case of danger. Again, this sucking means suction. And again, even in the English, they don't say sucking by mouth or mestitza bepe. Okay? So guys, look, here it is. European Jews misinterpreted our ancestors' oral tradition in saying that one has to suck the blood or suction the blood. That's what mestitza actually means. Instead of them saying suctioning, they use the word sucking, which in their nasty, ridiculous mindset assumed that meant using the mouth, or mestitza bepe, or sucking by mouth. Our ancestors did not write that. Our ancestors did not approve of that. And this is not what the oral tradition nor the Bible teaches. I showed and proved to y'all tonight in the Hebrew linguistically. I showed and proved with articles medically that this is not approved, that it was condemned, and to show also how sick and wicked many European Jews were to use this method of after circumcision to suction the blood with their mouths. That is not what the oral tradition teaches. So blessings and shalom to you and your family too, y'all. Blessings.